Today we are making an Irish cheddar and cabbage hash brown skillet. Our recipe does not say what temperature to put our skillet over, so I'm putting mine over medium heat. We're going to preheat your oven to 375 degrees. To start, we're going to melt 4 tablespoons of butter. We want that completely melted and slightly frothy looking. The author is using a 15-inch skillet. My skillet is either a 10 or an 11-inch, so just to be safe, I'm using my cast iron Dutch oven. Once your butter is completely melted, we're going to add 1 cup of diced yellow onion. Cook this for 2 or 3 minutes or until the onions are translucent, which means they're starting to get see-through. We basically just want our onions to get soft. After our onions are softened, we're going to add in 10 ounces of cabbage. Now, if you can find pre-shredded cabbage, I recommend it. I had to look up how much 10 ounces was because I purchased a whole head of cabbage, and it's about 4 cups. So my head of cabbage was a medium-sized head of cabbage, and I ended up shredding just shy of half of the head. This is going to cook for 5 to 6 minutes. Give it a stir occasionally, and we're going to get some lightly golden spots on it by the end. And you're going to want to sprinkle over the cabbage half of a teaspoon of sea salt. And in hindsight, and next time I make this, I'm going to use 3/4 of a teaspoon. While my cabbage is cooking, I'm going to mince 2 cloves of garlic, and I like to use a microplane to just grate it. Now, I know a cabbage dish doesn't necessarily sound the most appetizing, but there's cheese in it and I don't mind cabbage, so I'm willing to try new ways of cooking vegetables. Once your 5 or 6 minutes of your cabbage cooking is up, add in your 2 cloves of minced garlic. Stir that in for a minute, and this is just to get out any bitter or harsh flavor that can come from fresh garlic. I was listening to this podcast called Milk Street. I believe they also have a TV show, but the host of Milk Street, he never minces his garlic with a knife, which is what I've done my entire cooking life. And he said he grates it, which helps reduce that harshness, that bitterness of it. And that's what I've done ever since. It's easier than cutting it, and it keeps my fingers smelling less garlicky. After that minute is up, we're going to take our onions and cabbage off of the heat, and we're going to add 20 ounces of frozen shred hash browns. My calculation was that 20 ounces was 4 cups. I ended up adding 5 cups, and I would do 5 cups next time I made this. The recipe said to let the cabbage cool a little bit before adding your hash browns, and I don't see why that's necessary, so I didn't wait. So get your potatoes all mixed in, and at this point we're going to add 1.5 cups of shredded cheddar cheese. Again, next time I make this, I'm going to add at least 2 cups of cheese mixed in, if not 2.5 cups, but I will leave that to your discretion. White cheddar cheese might also be a great alternative to traditional cheddar cheese. Once your cheese is well incorporated, we're told to smooth off the top of our mixture. And we are not supposed to cook this with the cheese on top. I messed up, but it all worked out in the end, no problem. At this point, you're supposed to put your skillet into the oven for 30 to 35 minutes or until the top of your potatoes are lightly golden brown. At that point, you're supposed to take your skillet out, sprinkle on the remainder of your cheese, which is 1 cup, and then pop the skillet back in for 4 minutes to get the cheese melted. This is after 35 minutes. If you want to put it in a little bit longer to get the top of your cheese or the top of your potatoes a little more golden, go ahead and do so. I just wanted to make sure the inside of my potatoes was hot, and the center was telling me it was getting up towards 160 degrees in the center, so I decided that it was fine. I didn't need more time. give you a look at all angles, and then going in for a taste test. At this point, I realized that next time I make this, I'm definitely going to put more cheese in the middle. Even though there are only 2 cloves of garlic in this recipe, the garlic flavor really shined through. It wasn't too cabbagey in flavor, and I think me putting that additional cup of potatoes may or may not have had something to do with it, but I liked the ratio of cabbage to potatoes that I had. I did forget that we are supposed to garnish this skillet with some fresh green onion. So I was pretty hungry when I made this, so I ended up eating like a third of the recipe, and I have no shame in admitting that. But I realized that I forgot the green onion, so I came back to show you guys that I would suggest putting that green onion on. It just brings another element of a nice, mild, fresh onion flavor, and it just complemented the dish really nicely. So this dish may be a little off the beaten path for you, but I think it would be great for your St. Patrick's Day dinner, or maybe a staple side dish for a roast or a chicken. If you guys liked this recipe, please give this video a big thumbs up, subscribe for more content, and if you liked this recipe, go ahead and click here on screen for another one, and I will see you guys there.